caught up in the how-tos and the steps of various forms of goal setting that we lose sight of intention, and we lose sight of a dream or the dreams that supposedly these goals are pushing us toward, are working us toward. So I have become much more focused in my work with clients and my work with myself on joy in the moment and the steps that move us toward a dream or towards a lifestyle or towards a big picture, as opposed to setting a long-term goal or goals. And what I'm finding is that it really is the same thing. The same outcome, the same results are happening, but the approach I'm taking now seems to be a whole lot more fun than the way I used to do it.
Hey, you leader, entrepreneur, business owner, solopreneur, whatever you call yourself, we know you're a visionary business builder, wealth seeker looking to combine a passion for doing good with leading consciously. It's time to shift from a traditional focus of pure wealth accumulation to one that integrates well-being and fulfillment. This is the Conscious Edge podcast, and I'm Alecia St. Germain, entrepreneur and coach. Along with my friend and wellness advocate, Jonathan Duggar, we're diving into what it means to embody radical self-acceptance while still evolving to lead with compassion and kindness. We're sharing our own experiences and expertise as we unpack imposter syndrome, perfectionism, procrastination, and all the other things that lead to burnout and keep you from experiencing pure joy, business growth, and maximum impact. This is a safe and supportive space to explore what it means to be a human creating wealth and building a business. You're here for a purpose, and it's time to shine your light. So here we go. Welcome back to the Conscious Edge podcast. I'm your host, Alecia St. Germain, founder of the Conscious Edge, where I help women, entrepreneurs, business owners, real estate investors enjoy the journey a whole lot more and get over some of the things that cause burnout. I am here with my pal, Jonathan Duggar. He is our resident wellness advocate. I almost said expert.
I don't like that word.
I know you don't. Why don't you like that word? Can we just talk about that for 1 second? Why don't you like that word?
I just feel like it's a very loaded word that, depending on an individual's experience with their previous experts in their lives, may have either positive or negative connotations. So I just like the whole concept of advocacy across the board. And I don't think it's nearly as loaded, but maybe it's just a personal thing. I don't think it's necessarily, I have to pretend to be the expert quite often, and I'm never comfortable in that position. So that's probably another podcast in and of itself.
Totally.
I like the word advocate.
Yeah. No, it takes some of the pressure off. That it's more like we're all learning together sort of situation. Exactly. And you are promoting a certain well-beingness.
Yeah.
I get it. And yet I still say it wrong every time. If you are just joining us, now you realize that we are quirky and we often get weird and we just have fun doing this together. We're so excited that you're here. If you enjoy today's podcast, please take a moment and hit the follow button and leave a review. It really helps us to spread our message of well-being and enjoying the journey of creating wealth and building a business and actually getting to those goals, which brings us to our topic today around long-term goals, short-term goals, and some of the toxic behavior that we see people participating in that is making burnout much more likely to happen and is delaying joy that could be happening in your everyday, delaying enjoying the process. I know Jonathan and I are both lifelong business builders, I would call us.
Entrepreneurs.
And so I, like at this point in my life, love waking up every day and working on my business. And I know yesterday I had some things that could be done for the business, things that weren't going quite the way I expected them to go. And at the same time, we're redoing our family room. And it was trunk or treat at the time we're recording this. So the kids were going to their school and they were going to get dressed up in their costumes. And my daughter's obsessed with Harry Potter, which so am I. So I really can't. I love it. And so she needed a broom and she's been working on this broom. So I needed to do that. My point in sharing all of this with you is it would be very easy for me to prioritize work because work creates the income and things aren't going the way they're supposed to be, which makes me a little obsessed about turning the result around, making it better. And at the same time, that would delay some short-term goals that our family has. We want to finish up the family room so that we can be in that family room having, on the carpet, which is 20 years old. And now that we don't have little kids or a baby dog, we are ready to replace carpet. And so I asked myself, what will matter most in this moment? What action can I take that will matter most in this moment? And I made a decision that prioritizing my family's goals yesterday were more important than turning around something financially that wasn't working right in the business. Because the question I asked myself is, what will matter more a year from now? I can see myself on the carpet, hanging out with my kids, watching a Harry Potter movie and having fun in our family room. I can think about my daughter having this memory of when she got home from school and her mom helped her finish her broom. That is super cool, by the way. And I should post it on my Instagram so people can see what this broom is, what this broom ended up looking like.
Yes, you should. I'm curious. I want to see it. So
it's a little bit more like a mop, but she thinks it's cool. So I feel like I won.
That's what's important.
And so I think about what will my kids look back on? Am I going to look back a year from now and think, oh, remember that one time you took that one day and you didn't do business things that could have been done? The word that came into my head was impact filter, which I think is actually a business term, impact filter. Mm-hmm. But that was my impact filter. Where was I going to make actually the most meaningful impact? And so, long story to say, we're going to talk about goals today.
As somebody's been telling me a lot lately, land the plane, just land the plane.
I like to storytell. That's my thing.
And you're awesome at it.
I was talking to our podcast producer on Friday, and she was talking to another couple. We're not a couple, everyone, in case you're new here. We're not a couple. He's like my big brother, right? And we're both married to other people.
Okay, stop with the explaining.
Told you it was going to get weird. And now I don't know my train of thought. Jonathan, help me.
You talked to the producer. About another.
Oh, and so another woman she was talking to was like, well, my husband, they do a podcast together. My husband likes to be super prepared and have lists and do things. And I like to just show up and record. And so they were having some conflict in getting that recorded. I go, oh, I do that all the time. I show up, I tell a story. Jonathan has a list. It's good. It's all good. You could do this, you guys. So that's just what we do.
Exactly. So goals. Long-term goals versus short-term goals.
So you kind of wanted to say you're anti-goal.
Wait, aren't we going to save that for another podcast?
No, but just briefly,
okay.
You have kind of this love-hate relationship, it's more like hate-love relationship with goals.
It's kind of like my description of the term expert. It's very loaded. So goal setting from the coaching world and from the therapy world as well, goals and goal setting are a big part of that work, or have been historically. And it's corporate buzzword, corporate buzz term. But sometimes we get so locked up in this whole process and technicalities around. I mean, there's all sorts of different systems for goal setting and goal management and software for it and all sorts of stuff. It's like we get so caught up in the how-tos and the steps of various forms of goal setting that we lose sight of intention, and we lose sight of a dream or the dreams that supposedly these goals are pushing us toward, are working us toward. So I have become much more focused in my work with clients and my work with myself on joy in the moment and the steps that move us toward a dream or towards a lifestyle or towards a big picture, as opposed to setting a long-term goal or goals. And what I'm finding is that it really is the same thing. The same outcome, the same results are happening, but the approach I'm taking now seems to be a whole lot more fun than the way I used to do it. So I'm trying to take the stress and the work and the anxiety out of moving forward toward a big picture idea. So,
yeah. And I think that a lot of it comes from a society that likes everything to be measurable.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to goal setting, right, it's specific, it's measurable, I'm thinking of SMART goals.
Attainable, yeah.
Attainable. I don't know what R is. Time sensitive. What's the R?
I can't remember right now.
Something. And so they want everything. This is what I'm going to achieve. This is what success looks like. This is by when I'm going to do it. And there is a lot. It raises the cortisol level. It creates pressure. It does a lot of things to our bodies that on a repeat basis, we've talked in previous episodes about being addicted to the cortisol, addicted to the drama and the drama and the cortisol spikes, really, to get things done. And there's some unhealthy ways that people go about it. And I talk about this in one of our first episodes with unhealthy goal habits. And so I think of it as being, instead of a results-oriented focus, it's a journey-oriented focus. And I would compare it to, you could reach your goal, your big, juicy life goal, whatever that is, like $1 million by the time you're whatever age you are, or having 100 doors, or when we're talking about rental property, you could reach that goal and be overweight, not feeling well, fatigued,
divorced, ostracized from your kids.
Yeah, you could have that, but you reached your goal. And by societal standards, you reached your goal. So now you should be successful, right?
And should be happy.
And happy. Or you could strive for that goal, have the most fulfilling relationships, take really great care of yourself, have extraordinary experiences, and allow yourself the little joys and that seem like you're off path, seem like you're not moving forward. So, they're just like those little moments of standing and looking out at something beautiful. And then when you get to your goal, if you don't hit it by the time that you hit it, you very well could hit it right on time, or maybe a little late, or maybe early.
Or maybe your goal completely changes as part of the process.
Or it changes as part of the process. It's not so important anymore. It's like, which would you choose your own adventure?
Yep.
Which adventure do you choose?
I think the other part of this, tracking back to why I don't like goals, the love-hate or hate-love thing, goal setting has become such this thing, like you said, of creating this tangible, that's an event, and it's a precise event that happens in a certain way at a certain time. And there's supposed to be a certain outcome from that. Well, somewhere along the way, we've lost that a goal is a stepping stone to a dream. And a dream comes from a very personal place. It should come from a true self place. Now, often we're trying to perpetuate somebody else's dream. And when that misalignment's there, that's going to lead to burnout in and of itself, or lack of motivation in and of itself. But if we're working towards something that is truly ours or our families, or something that's collaborative with the people that we love and care about, then that goal should be working toward that. But often there's this major misalignment because the goal has to comply with corporate standards, our social standards, or financial standards in some particular way. And what the research tells us, and what I'm discovering for myself and with my clients over the past few years, the real power comes from understanding what drives you. So doing more work on figuring out what your why is. Why am I trying to get to this place of time freedom or financial freedom? Why am I looking at owning 100 doors by the time I'm X age? And then understanding not only your why, but being in a place of flexibility and adaptability to realize that the hardwiring of something is, I think you used the word toxic, potentially dangerous, because stuff changes. We change, we evolve, we adapt as we grow. And a goal as a single mom may look very different than the goal did before you were a mom. Mm-hmm. Or the goal of someone just graduating from college may look very different than someone after they've got married and had 2 kids. Mm-hmm. But often we stay hardwired to that original endpoint in a way that it sabotages all the possibilities along the way. And you figure out, somewhere, once you get there, it's like, this isn't where I wanted to be in the first place, because you didn't adjust, you didn't redefine along the way. So
do you think that's where so many people in their late 30s, 40s, 50s end up with a second act? Like, that's a thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like new
and
wisdom.
Those are the people that are trying to get back to a place of balance, that do the second act. Unfortunately, there's a whole lot of people that stay stuck in a picture that is not a fit for them or the life that they really want, because they don't allow themselves, or they've lost the capacity to visualize themselves as anything different, or they just won't ask for help. And that's where, one of the things I wanted to make sure that I brought up is, this is where advocacy and coaching and accountability are huge missing pieces of the puzzle quite often. Having somebody outside looking in help you redefine, reassess, reevaluate, and pick some options, pick some things to try.
Yeah. And that's some of what we're diving into at the retreat that's coming up. And you and I, when we got together and we talked about that retreat, we were talking about how we see it as, I said, I want it to be rejuvenating and a reset, and like a moment to what's coming forward is just dream.
Absolutely.
Because how often do people not give themselves space to dream? And I have heard people poo-poo dreaming, like just like, and it's like, maybe when you were a kid, you wanted to be a professional basketball player, and then you were too short. And so it's like, oh, okay, my dream. So dreams seemed fake or like not possible, because when you're a kid, like you're like, I'm going to go to the moon. And for some people that turns into a career, and they do want to do that. I watched a movie, I don't even know what it was called, but it was so fantastic. This man who always had this dream of going to space, and how many times he failed and finally got, like, how many times he applied to NASA. I think it was like, do you know what movie this is? Did you see this?
I know what you're talking about. I've not seen the movie, but I know what you're talking about.
It was so good. He applied like 15 times or something like that in this dream to go to space. And then he gets to go and he sees it, and he's sitting out and he's looking, and they're showing Earth. And of course, this is my biggest fear, is that you're in a space shuttle. I don't know why I'm in a space shuttle, but Earth blows up. But that doesn't happen in the movie. But I was
like,
living
oh my
out
gosh, completely different movie than I thought you were talking about.
No, that's not. No, I'm saying that's my worst fear. That's what came up for me when I'm watching it. But he's like, oh, I'm getting to see this thing. I'm getting to do this thing that I most wanted to do. And it was just so extraordinary. And so how much people don't just allow themselves to actually dream. Because in my mind, that's your soul speaking to you.
Absolutely. That's where true self lives, is where we see our multiple paths. You know, it's not just one path, the multiple paths leading us to this bigger picture. And, you know, the you hear that, I've seen it on t-shirts and bumper stickers, dream big. Well, I define that kind of differently. It's not like the dream is this grandiose thing. Dream big means is that there's no capacity. There's no finite in what that dream can be. And the bigger we can make it in terms of trying to work towards a true understanding, something that comes from a deep place inside of what we'd like life to look like, the better off we're going to be, because it gives us more flexibility to get there. It gives us different paths that those short-term and long-term goals can take to get us to a bigger picture. Like you mentioned, the kid that wanted to play basketball but was too short. Well, that's a tangible, that's kind of a finite dream. That's a specific thing. But the bigger dream, when you really understand what drives you and what your whys, the bigger dream might be, I want to be in a place in my life where I can have joy in what I do every day, that takes some skill, and I can use my gifts and I can influence people and I can have an impact on the world. So that's the bigger. So when you can break down and get to some of those elements that are even bigger than a thing, accomplishing a thing, it becomes even more powerful. So I think that we can do some of that work at the retreat too.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. It's not, how do I say it? It's what drives it all. Mm-hmm. And it's so overlooked. And exactly. It's what fills your cup. It's what fills you up. And like you said, it doesn't have to look exactly that, but it can give you the hints of what you're looking for.
Yep.
Even as you allow yourself to dream. I have always, you know this, dreamed about being a rock star. I can't sing for anything. Cannot sing for anything. But I love music. I love the feeling lit up. I love just bringing people joy.
Mm-hmm. And I can honestly say, when you're on stage in front of people doing just that, you are a rock star. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but see, you've been living your dream every time you get up on a stage and do that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but I think that's what I'm trying to say is sometimes what you think your dream is, it seems so intangible, like, oh, that's not a real thing. I can't sing. But it's clues. It's leaving you clues for the feeling that you're looking for, the impact that you're looking for, what you want to do. And that's how I'm like, I'm just going to be a rock star of coaching. I'm just going to be a rock star coach.
That's right. So, and again, I think that's a really good piece, though, that's traditional goal setting does not ask what brings you joy. Is there joy in the doing of this short-term goal, of this step, of this step? That's not a question that's asked. It's like, we tell ourselves, in order to try and stay motivated, quite often, I will be happy when.
Yeah.
And all that does is talk about toxic. That means we can't be happy now.
Right.
If we have to get to that place before we can be happy, we can't be happy now.
Yep. So, okay, so we got a dream. Mm-hmm. Now we back it down. And there's infinite possibilities of ways or long-term goals that would allow your dream.
Yep.
Right? And then what I see happen is people are like, okay, I got a goal that's going to help me get to my dream, and now I'm going to go after it. And that delayed gratification, like I can only be happy when I get there. And for right now, I have to grind and be singular focused on getting to that big goal, which is, by the way, going to take you years to accomplish. And they don't do things in the today that also feel like accomplishments. What happens?
So it's a form of self-sabotage, really, because when we lose the ability or we forget the ability to celebrate small wins, to celebrate those incremental steps, that's where burnout happens, because we lose motivation. So practicing mindfulness and becoming more adept at being aware of what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then finding the gratitude and the self-compassion in those points along the way, that helps continue to put gas in the tank. That helps continue to move forward in a healthy way. The other piece that we often don't do is check in with our goal or that tangible we're working toward on a very regular basis. And when I say regular, I'm talking about at least monthly, at the far outset every 3 months, and make sure that we're still in alignment with that's what we need to be doing and want to be doing. Not just need to be doing, we want to be doing. Is this something that is still in alignment with that bigger picture? Because often it's not. We need to adjust. So I years ago started looking at my role as a coach and as a therapist very differently from how I help people when it comes to accomplishing something or trying to get better at something or improving something in their lives. My main job is to help align who they are with what they do and how they do it. What gifts do they bring? What skills do they bring? Where are their real interests? And does it align with how you're trying to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish? And does it align with that actual accomplishment? Because that often that is misaligned because somebody else is promoting a goal that they had when they were much younger, or it was their parents' goal for them, or a spouse's goal for them. It's not about who they are and what they really want and what brings them joy and where they find happiness.
So what would you say? I'm going to play the devil's advocate. I did an episode about this 2 or 3 podcasts ago about those times when you're working on a goal, though, and you don't want to be doing it because of fear, because you're afraid, because that's one of the things I see with goals is that in people who pivot a lot or people who keep floating around, really don't know where they're headed. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, I don't really want that. I actually reassessed. That didn't feel in alignment.
Well, and this is where the self-work really comes in, and having an advocate, having a coach that can call you on your stuff and ask you those very targeted questions are super important, because we often do realign because, and I'm using air quotes again, because we are afraid of taking a next step or a big step, or we are dealing with some worthiness things. We're self-sabotaging at reaching a financial goal or a personal goal because we don't think we're really worthy of it. We shouldn't be allowed to have $1 million of gross income in a year, whatever it is. So that's where the self-work becomes so important. So I think it's being really honest with yourself when you are adjusting or realigning and asking, it's like, okay, is it just getting too hard? Is this too hard for me right now? Okay, then that's a different conversation. What adjustments do I need to make so it's not as hard? So I'm not waking up stressed and depressed. So it's just being very honest with yourself. And if you can't do that, ask for help with it. Asking, I need an advocate. I need a coach. I need somebody to hold me accountable and to ask me the hard questions and push me on them so that I really do come up with a truthful answer. So I don't know if that answered what your devil's advocate question.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. No, and it happens. I just wanted to be really clear. Like, it doesn't align. And so I'm going to go on and continue to feel lost is not what we're talking about. It's like, oh, I have new information. This is what I was talking about in that podcast was, oh, I have new information. And now I'm making a different decision versus I actually am really afraid of something and I don't know what it is. And I need some help working through that so that I can get because that path is going to lead to regret.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's what we don't want. So I do an exercise in my group where we basically come up with the dream and we look at all the tangible and intangible, who you want to be, but all the things that you actually want to have in your life. And then I ask them, how long are you willing to wait?
I like that.
To have that thing. And it's a little materialistic. I get that there's some pieces of it are materialistic, but there is an experience that goes with having certain things. And there are some things tangible things that bring us joy. Like my husband got me earrings for our anniversary, and they have no purpose other than being in my ears. There's nothing, nobody else cares. But it's a moment that I know that was a stretch for my husband to invest in those for me. And it was purely for me. And it represents something really special. So I'm not talking about having things from a consumerism standpoint. I like really fine clothes. I like when I go to a store and something is put together and it's really well made, really quality fabric. I can tell that it's not fast fashion. There's a craftsperson that put energy into that. That is their talent. That thing holds love for me. So I'm not talking about materialism so much as I'm talking about the things that create experiences for you, whether they're having tangible goods, going through an experience. Like I told Jonathan, I sent Jonathan an Instagram for a bucket list to go to Africa, to go to this horse lady who has these healing horses that she does massage. And then these horses just come stand around you. And it's so magical. And I want to do it. But there's an investment to having these experiences. So I have them kind of write out their bucket list of what is everything in your life that you would dream of and how long are you willing to wait for it? Meaning it would be so freaking irritating to you if it takes longer than X to get there. Yep. And then that's how we figure out what to focus on first.
Yep. And I think if that's so important in terms of this whole concept of balanced living is if we can adjust our consumeristic minds to a place of what brings us joy today, what brings us joy in the moment, where our happiness lies now, and what we can do to expand that. And then how do we grow that? How do we grow that bigger? As opposed to the delayed gratification model, which most goal setting is. We can't be happy until. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's how we need to start redefining short-term goals. Like, how do we level up our happiness? How do we level up our experience that's where we are more fulfilled and more stepping into who we truly are and who we truly want to become? And those are our incremental steps to getting to those bigger picture dreams, to the big dreams, as opposed to, does this serve a purpose, specific purpose for meeting the needs of getting to that goal? And if not, we can't do it. So it's not black and white. There's lots of gray area in there. There's lots of
possibility,
different paths that can be taken. So lots of possibility.
I can already hear business coaches going, this is a load of crap. And I don't think that you and I are sitting here saying that those techniques that people use are not effective in some ways. But if the mindset and the come from for those goals is unclean, you're setting yourself up for a very uncomfortable journey.
I would encourage all those if there is a coach out there or that is thinking that way, just try asking your client, are they happy? And if they tell you no, if they say yes, it's okay. Let's talk about what brings you happiness. And then figuring out how to align some of the things they're trying to do with increasing their capacity for happiness and for finding joy. I can almost guarantee you that you're going to see major improvement. But when you leave that out of the equation, when that gets lost on the wayside instead of becoming a focus, burnout's going to happen. I mean, almost every goal setting system fails. I hate to tell you that, but it's true. The research is there. And it's because we lose motivation. We lose a focus for what we really want and an understanding for what drives that, because it's never been part of the equation. It's never been an integral part of the equation. So we just need to realign how we think about goals and the multiple paths to get to any given big picture item.
Yeah.
Or big picture situation.
Yeah. And I think, and we're already at time, and this will be a multiple series thing. But if there's the one thing that you take away from today, it's giving yourself the space to dream and think about what you want your life to look like. And then if you actually let yourself solve for all the different ways that that could happen, you could come up with multiple options for goals. And then from that point, how do you bring enjoyment into the process and the journey to that bigger goal? If you're not working on smaller things, if you're not finding satisfaction in the process and feeling filled up and joyful in the process of creating that, you won't get there. So this back step into these small moments of mindfulness and gratitude and joy and working through the triggers, it's a given. It has to happen. If you want to get to your long-term big goals, if you want to achieve your dreams, finding the joy and satisfaction and fulfillment in the everyday is where you want to focus right now.
Amen. Celebrate those small wins.
Celebrate those moments. So with all that being said, I'm sending you so much love.
Be well, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Conscious Edge podcast. Make sure you subscribe and take a moment to be kind and share this episode with someone you care about. Leave a review to help us bring more compassionate leaders building businesses and creating wealth to the table. And for show notes, head over to consciousedge.com/podcast. This podcast and the linked materials are presented solely for general information, educational, and entertainment purposes and should not be taken as personal or medical advice or any kind of mental health treatment. Please consult a medical or mental health professional if you feel you need such services. Please be advised that all investing and entrepreneurial endeavors involve risk, and the use of the education and information on this podcast and linked materials is at the user's own risk.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.